Now, good day, welcome back to Person Channel. Now, if today is the first time you have visited my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel and you share the videos to friends in other schools. Now, we are coming to continue with the higher angles. Now, we are to calculate, we are to find this one without using calculator. We are to find cot 150. Yes, using the reference angles and the quadrant sign. Yeah, the quadrant signs are the signs we've talked about. Yes, so we're going to use the quadrant angle. Now let's see solution. Now let's look at cot 150. Now don't forget that in the previous video we said that when you are looking for a higher angle like this, you need to break it down to an acute angle or a special angle. Yes, a small angle. Yeah, our acute angle. Now how are you going to break this one down? Now we have so many ways you can solve this one. Now don't forget that this 150 degrees, this 150, this side will be 90. 150 is an angle between 90 and 180. You understand? Yes. It's an angle between 90 and 180. So if I want to read my 150, I have to read from 0. Here is 90. 90, I will need 60 to add up to the 90 before I can get 150 degrees. So let's say from here to here is our 60. So 60 plus 90 will give us what? 150 degrees. Now, so with this one, it means that the acute angle here will be 30. As simple as that. The acute angle will be 30. Now, so this simply means that if you have cot 150, the acute angle will be 30, which means the same as cot 30. You understand? But what is cot? Cot is 1 over tan. And then tan in the second quadrant is negative. So which means cot is also negative. You understand? Okay, now let me do like this. It's the same as 1 over tan 150. Now the acute angle is 30. So we're going to get 1 over tan 30, right? Now this one is in the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, tan is negative, so I need to negate this one. Also at this point, what is tan 30? So we have 1 divided by, what is tan 30? Tan 30 is root 3 out of 3. It is negative already. So we're going to have 1 times 3 divided by root 3. Now at this point, we need to rationalize. You multiply this one by root 3, this one by root 3. So what are we going to get? We're going to get 3 root 3 divided by root 3 times root 3 will give us 3. Now, so which means this one means that 3 will cancel 3. We're going to get negative what? Root 3. Now, so this one is so simple that it means that when you have cot 150 degrees, it is the same as negative root 3. Now, let's look at very bigger angles. Let's look at very big angles. Now, let's look at if I want to find sine 840 degrees. Now, let's look at big angle like 840 degrees. Now, 840 degrees means that I need to read this one from here up to the first one, 360. That's a complete cycle. Then I'll move another one, another 360. 360 plus 660 is going up to 840. 360 plus 360 is 720. So I will need what? Now, when I add 120 to this one, that is when I can get the 840. So which means I need to move 2 complete cycles before I will now come and read 120. So the first cycle, the second cycle, before I will move up to 120, which will be in the second quadrant. Now, so it means that if I am to find 840, I will say that the same as 360 plus another 360 plus 120. So in other words, if I'm looking for sine 840, then I will just look for sine 120. Because this one and this one give us one complete cycle, sine 120. You understand? Yes. Now let's look at sine 120 here. Now the 120 is in the second quadrant. This side is 90. We need 120, so I will need 30. 90 plus 30 will give us 120, so I will need 30. So let's say this side is 30 degrees. Now what is the angle along the x-axis? The angle along the x-axis will be here. That is 60. So I'm going to continue to say that this sine 120 is the same as sine 60. Now what is 60? 60 is the angle along the x-axis. Now let's look at this. So it means that 840 will be in the second quadrant. Now in the second quadrant, the sign is positive. So I'm going to get a positive answer for this. You get it? Okay. So the sign is positive. Now what is sine 60? Sine 60 is root 3 out of 2. So this is the answer. You see how simple it is? Yes, it's very simple. But if you don't understand, there is no way you can solve. Now let's look at another one. Let's say cos 540. So the same way, you see 540, I need to move one complete cycle, which will give us 360 degrees. Right? Yes. Now let me subtract 360 from this one. 540 minus 360. Now I'm going to get 180. Now 180, we're going to be here. Now I'm going to talk about 180 separate. I'm going to talk about 180 separate because 180 is not a special angle. I'm going to talk about 180 separate. So let me change this one to 590. Let me change 570. I'll talk about 180 degrees. We call them quadrantal angles. I'll talk about it in the subsequent videos. Now, so 770, what can I add it to 360 to get 770? Now we're going to get 210. It means before I can get 720, I need to move what? One complete cycle. One complete cycle. Now, so let's see. So this one is the same as 360 plus 210 before I can get what? 750. So which means that I'm going to find cos 570. I need to consider 210, the same as cos what? 210. Now what is 210? Let's weigh 210. Here is 90. Here is 200 and here is 180. So 180. We are looking for 210. So we need 30 to add up to this one. 180 plus 30 will give us 210. So it will be here 210. So this side will be 30. And then here will be 180, making 210. So the whole thing. Now, what is the angle along the x-axis? The angle along the x-axis is the 30. So I will say that this cos 210 is also the same as cos 30. because the 30 is the angle along the x-axis. Yes. Now, looking at this particular quadrant, the cosine is negative, so I need to negate this one because in the third quadrant, only tan is positive. So with this one, I'm going to get minus cos 30. What is cos 30? Cos 30 is root 3 out of 2. So that's the answer. It's very simple. It's not difficult. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Now, let me give you a shorter way we can find the answer. Now, if you want to use formulas, to get the angles along the x-axis, you can also use formula. Don't forget that here is what? 90, here is 180, this side is 270, this side is 0 and what? 360 degrees. So look at it very well. Now, if the angle is between 180 and 90 and 180, we can easily find the angle along the x-axis. How are we going to find the angle along the x-axis? Subtract the angle from 180. Now, if you subtract the angle from 180, you are going to get the angle along the x-axis. So in case if the angle is 150, we are looking for 150. We are looking for sine 150. If you want to get the angle along the x-axis, subtract 150 from 180. So we're going to get 180 minus 150. And it's going to give us 30. So which means this one is my sine what? 30. I hope you are following. Yes. There's another way you can find the angle along the x-axis without going through reading the angle before. Now let's talk about here. If the angle is between 180 and 270, of course, it's to be greater than 180. So what you have to do is that you rather subtract 180 from the angle. I don't like using formulas, yes. So example, the angle between 180 and 270, if the angle is 210, so tan 210. And I want to find the angle along the x-axis. 210 is between 180 and 270. If I want to get the angle along the x-axis, I need to subtract 180 from the angle 210. So I will just subtract 210 minus what? 180. And 210 minus 180 will give us 30 degrees. So which means this one will be the same as tan 30. You see? It's about understanding. Now, let's consider this side. If the angle is between 270 and then 360, I need to subtract the angle from 360. So I'm giving you formulas for you to, if it is something like this. But I don't prefer this. I don't prefer using formulas. Now, let me give you some questions. Try to find the value of those particular angles. Send the answers to me in the comment section. Now, don't forget that if the angle is not an acute angle, if the angle is not a special angle, you can use calculator to point. I'm giving that permission. Now, example, if the angle is not a special angle, let's say I ask you to find cos, let's say cos 310. Let's say cos 310. Cos 310, what are you going to get? What will be the acute angle? The acute angle, I have to subtract 360 minus theta because 310 is in this particular quadrant. So I need to subtract the 310 from 360. So I'm going to get 360 minus what? 310, and the angle will give us what? 50. I hope you are following. Now, if you want to read, now from here to here will give us 270. So 270, I will need 40. So this will be my 40. The angle along the x-axis here will be 50. So which means that this one is the same as cos what? 50. If you want to use the formula, you subtract the 310 from 360. Don't forget to get the same 50. Now, in this particular quadrant, the cosine is positive, right? The cosine is positive. So the same as cos 50 here. But don't forget that the cos 50 is not an acute angle, or it's not a special angle. So let me punch cos 50 on a calculator. So cos 50 is 0.6428. Now this one is approximated form. You get it? Yes. Now let me give you some try work. Now find the value of the following without using. Find the value of the following. Now let's find A sine 600. B cosec. Oh, now let me give you sec. Okay, now sec 880. And then C tan so let's say 90 plus 45 gives us 135. Now solve this one and then send the answers to me in the comment section. See you in the next video.